Section 2.2 in your book is all about functions and formulas. So we should talk about that. We will use more than one variable in an equation, which we have already done, but we're going to do that more. Identify if an equation is function and use its notation, and distinguish between functions and formulas and equations. They all have similarities, but we're going to pinpoint some differences. So, in example 1, we're talking about creating a function rule. It says write a rule for the given inputs and outputs. So, the input is a cat, the output is a meow. The input is a dog, the output is a woof. The input is a cow, and the output is a mrrr. That's exactly right. I came from farmland. Anyway, so the rule, in my opinion, the rule would be, okay, maybe what sound does this animal make? So someone would tell you cat, and then what sound does that cat make? It makes a meow. What sound does a dog make? Well, it makes a woof. Okay, so the rule, I feel like, and where it gets these names, the nouns input and output, is, okay, what sound does a blank make? Okay, and then you ask the user of this function for an input. You input cat, outputs meow. You input dog, outputs woof. You input cow, outputs moo. So I feel like here would be our rule for these given inputs and those given outputs. Write a rule for these inputs and outputs. Okay. Input Jake, output 39. Input Rosa, output 35. Input Terry, output 43. Raymond Holt, and output 61. Input Amy. Okay, so let's look at these inputs. Jake, Peralta, Rosa. Man, what was her last name? I am forgetting Rosa's last name. Terry, Raymond Holt, Amy. Why am I forgetting so many of these people's last names? Except Gina. Vinetti? Anyway, they call her by her last name a lot too. And actually Scully is the last name. But these are all, that's the Brooklyn Nine-Nine right there. And something that keeps me a little bit peppier during these very trying times. So you gotta laugh at something. And it looks to me like these, I mean, it looks like their age. So, instead of what, how about how old is, are these all detectives? Except Captain. I'll just put how old is blank. So that the input would be how old is Captain Raymond Holt, and the output would be 61. I just remember they call him a dinosaur a lot. Anyway, so how old is Gina? Well, output 39. Write a rule for these given inputs and outputs. Ooh, more vague here. Input 0, output 0. Input 2, outputs 4. Input 5, outputs 10. I think they're doubling. So, what is blank doubled? What is 0 doubled? 0. What is 2 doubled? 4. What is 5 doubled? 10. Okay, so we have these inputs, but we also are creating these rules, yeah? And And a function, in my opinion, is a rule where you have an input, and for every input, there is exactly one output. So let's write that down. So a function. But in this particular case, it's going to be a mathematical function. So a mathematical rule written as an equation where each input has no more than one output. Okay, so a function is, so I look at this and I think, okay, that is a mathematical rule. Now this one is less so, but it's still a function where you input something and it outputs. So this would be more like a computer function. And this is more like a purely mathematical function where we are just looking at the numbers and we're not really inputting strings in computer sense. Okay, example 2. That's a super great shirt. Can I finish this video, please?